Welcome to the Deep Dive.
Great to be here.
Today, we're exploring a really powerful idea. I mean, truly foundational.
Yeah, something that might just be the difference maker.
Between people who achieve incredible things and, well, those who feel a bit stuck or just drifting.
Exactly. We're going to look at a core principle, something touched on by great minds like Napoleon Hill.
And understood deeply by people like Earl Nightingale and really brought to life by someone like Bill Gove.
Our goal in this deep dive is really to unpack one single pivotal habit.
Like a master key, you said.
Yeah, think of it that way. And as we get into it, we'll see why this key, despite being right there, is so often missed.
It's quite a story, too. Starts from almost nothing, right? A life kind of pointed towards failure, really.
Absolutely. And leads to monumental success?
But not through the usual routes, not advanced degrees or connections.
Nope. Something else entirely. So let's dig into that starting point.
Where does it begin?
Okay, picture this. Over 50 years ago, a life just lacking direction, almost like navigating towards failure constantly.
Sounds rough.
It was a lot of frustration, trying different paths, various ventures.
And nothing clicking.
Nothing really fulfilling, no. Definitely a lack of financial success and just general unhappiness,
And no safety net of qualifications either, right? What was the background?
Almost none by conventional standards. Maybe a couple of months of high school, that's it.
Wow.
Zero real business experience, so by any typical measure, not exactly set up for big things.
Okay. So something must have changed drastically.
It did, a turning point. A friend came along, someone who became a real mentor.
Someone who saw something others didn't.
Exactly. Saw potential where maybe even the person himself couldn't see it. And this friend hands him a book.
Think and Grow Rich. Napoleon Hill.
That's the one. But it wasn't just, here, read this.
No,
it came with very specific, very clear instructions.
like what?
The friend basically said, look, if you do exactly what I tell you, precisely as I tell you, until you find out I'm either lying or just don't know what I'm talking about, you are going to be a monumental winner.
That's some serious conviction.
Totally. And he followed it up with, and I don't lie, and I absolutely know what I'm talking about.
Wow. So despite the history of failure, the doubts
Yeah, despite all that personal baggage, something about that conviction, that clarity,
made him do it.
made him follow those instructions meticulously, step by step.
And this is where things get interesting, I assume.
Oh, yeah. The shift was dramatic and fast. Really fast.
How fast are we talking?
Well, he was earning about $4,000 a year. Pretty meager.
Right.
Within a single year, that jumped to $175,000.
Oh, from 4K to 175K in a year.
In 1 year. And then pretty quickly after that crossed the $1 million a year mark.
Okay, so what was this miracle business? Tech startup. Wall Street.
Get this. Cleaning floors.
Cleaning floors. Seriously.
Started with one tiny office contract, like $30 a month.
$30.
But applying these principles, following those instructions, the thing didn't just grow, it exploded.
Exploded how?
In less than 5 years, this floor cleaning business was operating in major cities: Toronto, Montreal, Boston, Cleveland, Atlanta.
Across North America?
And London, England.
Wow. From one $30 office to international operations in under 5 years. Cleaning floors.
It was like a rocket ship, truly.
So naturally, you'd have to stop and ask,
Yeah.
what just happened?
Exactly. That was the reaction. Success was great, but the overwhelming feeling was, how on earth did this happen?
Because it wasn't just him cleaning floors, right?
Right. He knew there were tons of others doing the same work, many with more experience, maybe better equipment.
And plenty of people read Think and Grow Rich.
Countless people. But their results weren't transforming like this. Not even close.
So what was the difference? That's the burning question.
That was the question. What truly happened to me? It really challenged that whole idea that you need to be super smart, highly educated, or have some rare talent.
Because he felt he wasn't conventionally smart.
He knew he wasn't, in that academic sense, yet the income, the results, were undeniable.
So that led to a deeper search.
A 9-year quest. Seriously, 9 years. Intensive study, reflection, connecting dots, trying to understand the actual mechanics of his own transformation.
9 years is a long time to focus on one question.
It shows how profound the shift was and how puzzling. But eventually,
He figured it out.
he finally understood why. Why he had changed, why the results had shifted so radically, It wasn't luck. It wasn't an accident.
It was the application of specific principles.
Exactly. Principles he could now understand and articulate, which is interesting because you look at top performers elsewhere.
The top salespeople you mentioned.
Yeah, in big companies, often the very best, maybe 99 out of 100, they can't really tell you why they're the best. Not in a way that someone else can just copy and get the same results.
Right. If they could, the company would just clone them.
Precisely. But after those 9 years, studying with some brilliant minds and human potential, he could articulate it.
And when that aha moment hit.
It felt almost simple.
Yeah.
Susceptibly simple, maybe, but profoundly true. And it ignited this huge desire to share it.
Okay, so he's got the understanding, the desire to share.
Yeah.
But there's a roadblock.
A big one. And this one was internal. Crippling shyness.
Shyness, after achieving all that.
Deep-seated stuff. Feeling quiet, withdrawn, intensely insecure socially.
How bad was it?
He shared an example of being terrified to ask a question in a small group, like 4 or 5 people, just pervasive insecurity.
Wow. So that would make sharing this big insight pretty difficult.
It was like an invisible cage. He had this valuable knowledge, this burning desire to help others with it, but the fear of speaking up was almost paralyzing.
So how did he break through that?
This brings in Bill Gove, the speaker.
Ah, the Frank Sinatra of public speaking.
That's him. There's this vivid memory, standing at the back of a massive ballroom, O'Hare Hyatt Hotel, watching Gove command a room of 1,000 people, effortlessly, powerfully.
And Gove said something that stuck.
Oh, yeah. Gove said, if I want to be free, I've got to be me. Not the me I think you think I should be. If I want to be free, I've got to be me.
Powerful.
And then Gove added, with real emphasis, now I better know who me is.
Okay. I can see how that would hit hard for someone feeling caged by insecurity.
Standing there, watching Gove, there was just one thought consuming him. If only I could do that.
The desire versus the fear.
Exactly. The gap felt enormous.
Now, you mentioned another influence, too. Earl Nightingale.
Yes. Alongside Gove, Nightingale was huge. He'd been studying Nightingale's work for years, especially the magic word from the Lead the Field program.
What's that about?
It's all about attitude, perception, and he'd listened to Nightingale's recordings. Well, he said maybe 1,000 times or more, relentlessly.
1,000 times. He must have known it inside out.
That's what he thought. There's this specific part where Nightingale says something like, we come to a strange fact. We tend to minimize the things we can do, and we think other people can accomplish things that we cannot. And Nightingale follows up, you've got deep reservoirs of talent and ability within you. You can accomplish remarkable things.
So he heard this 1,000 times. He must have understood it.
Intellectually, maybe? If you'd asked him, he'd have said, yeah, I get it. But the truth, he realized later, he didn't understand it at all.
Not in the way that actually changes things.
Not in the way that matters, no. Which brings us to the lightning bolt moment.
Okay.
He's standing there at the O'Hare Hyatt, hearing Bill Gove talk about being me.
Right.
And suddenly, almost like a soundtrack in his head, Earl Nightingale's voice pops in. We tend to minimize.
The connection.
Bingo, the lightning bolt, the profound realization. That's what he meant.
It finally clicked.
It landed, the full force of it. He wasn't just minimizing what he could do. He was minimizing who he was, believing others, like Gove, could do things he couldn't.
Even though he had the knowledge, the desire?
Exactly. He was holding himself back based on a false belief about his own limitations.
So in that moment.
A decision, a profound one, not just, I should learn public speaking. It was, I'm going to get Bill Gove to teach me.
Wow. Aiming high.
And he did. They became friends. Gove mentored him. In fact, Bill Gove's last public speech was actually for his company.
That's incredible. What was Gove's key advice on speaking?
Surprisingly simple, profoundly effective. Focus completely on the audience. Fall in love with the idea of helping them. Know you have something valuable for them. Forget yourself. Focus on service.
That makes sense. Shifts the focus from fear to purpose.
Exactly. And this whole pivotal moment, hearing Gove, connecting Nightingale, that was about 46 years ago.
So overcoming the shyness wasn't instant.
Oh, no. It took time, dedicated work, proper coaching. He didn't suddenly become a different personality. He still enjoyed solitude.
But the crippling part.
The debilitating side, yeah. The fear, the pervasive doubts it fueled. That was systematically dismantled.
Which brings us back to the listener, right? Because many people feel held back by doubts.
Absolutely. We all have those invisible tethers, those areas where doubt whispers, you can't do that.
So what is the habit, the master key we talked about?
Okay, here it is. The habit you simply must develop if you want real, lasting change. It's the consistent, deliberate repetition of constructive, empowering ideas
Repetition.
until they become firmly fixed in your subconscious mind.
Okay, let's unpack that. Repetition. How does that connect back to the story?
Think about it. Those specific instructions for Think and Grow Rich, they involved repetition, daily reading, focusing.
And listening to Earl Nightingale 1,000 times.
That was repetition doing its work, embedding those ideas deep down, even before the full conscious understanding clicked. It was conditioning the subconscious.
Which explains why, reading a book once or going to one seminar feels great for a bit.
But the results often fade, right?
Yeah, because the new ideas haven't really sunk in.
Exactly. They haven't become part of your core programming, your paradigm, as some call it, that collection of subconscious beliefs and habits that really drive your automatic behavior.
So the key to making changes stick is
Understanding how the mind actually learns and internalizes through repetition. Conscious, deliberate, consistent repetition.
you have to actively impress the ideas you want onto your subconscious.
Yes. He mentioned watching his own video with these core ideas again and again. Why? Because it's the repetition that fixes the concepts, makes them real for you.
And when an idea is truly fixed like that, what happens?
That's the magic point. Your automatic thinking changes. Your behavior starts to align effortlessly. Your perception shifts.
And the results have to follow.
They have to. It becomes your new reality, permanently.
It sounds almost too simple in a world that loves complexity.
Maybe. But profound truths often are simple, aren't they? The master habit is really about consciously choosing your mental diet.
What you feed your mind daily.
Through deliberate repetition, yes. Are you feeding it ideas that match where you want to go, or is it just getting random inputs, negative news, old doubts, by default?
Because you haven't actively chosen what to install.
Precisely. Think of programs built around this, like 6 Minutes to Success, perhaps. The whole design is short, daily, potent doses of information.
Using repetition to root out the limiting stuff and install the empowering stuff.
Exactly. It works by changing those dominant subconscious thoughts. And when those change, your whole internal state, your vibration, if you like, shifts.
Which then attracts or creates experiences matching the new thoughts.
That's the idea. You start operating from a different place, so you get different results.
So the core message here, the thing to really let sink in,
is the incredible creative power of repetition. Burn that into your mind.
find information that inspires you,
Get clear on goals that excite you, the life you truly want.
and then commit to the habit of impressing that onto your mind.
Daily.
Yes, daily. You don't need perfect understanding at first, just consistent practice.
Because the repetition itself builds the new pathways, rewrites the old program.
That's how it works. You're literally reshaping your mind with focused repetition.
And you'll know it's working when? When the idea feels fixed. Your actions start aligning naturally. Your confidence grows without forcing it, and the results start showing up.
Okay, so a final thought for everyone listening.
Yeah, consider this. What is one single empowering idea or affirmation or goal that you are willing to commit to repeating deliberately, daily,
Starting today.
starting today? What new truth about yourself, about your potential, are you going to begin installing in your own magnificent mind?
Maybe take a moment after this, identify that one thing.
Make that commitment even just to yourself, because the power isn't out there somewhere. It's already in you.
And this habit, intentional repetition, is the key to unlocking it.
It truly is. Keep growing, keep believing.
And keep repeating those powerful truths.